Hey, welcome to Hanging with the Hammer. Roll the intro. Try again, roll the intro. Welcome to Hanging with the Hammer. This is the show where your questions make the show. If we don't have questions, we don't have a show. It's just like Ask Earl Anything, except for it's a live version of it. And I hoped to have some friends in today. And my lighting is driving me crazy. There's a light right here. It's my problem. I'm going to fix that light while talking to you because it is driving me nuts. Oh, that's one way of dealing with it is turn it off, isn't it? That'll make things a little bit easier today. All right. So, and I've been at this for a minute. Had some problems with the intro. I mean, come on. Anyhow, this is weird. I'm doing it on a Sunday, not a Saturday, and I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I was supposed to have a recording session today. Unfortunately, the recording session canceled. I wasn't sure that was going to happen. I didn't want to mess everybody up that was expecting it on Sunday because I figured we might get some new people on a Sunday, but I plan on keeping it on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Works really good. I can see we've got Drumaski from Hungary. Welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream. So anyhow, with that said, my session canceling yesterday, I didn't want to change things up, even though I had a couple people that had asked me, where's Hanging with the Hammer? So that's nice that actually people are looking to, it's Neville. Hi, Neville. Haven't seen you. My UFIP friend out there in Hungary. You changed your name, Neville, and since then I just can't get the connection. But I do watch your videos, as you know. I comment when I do. So, but yeah. So anyhow, today's Hanging with the Hammer is going to be a little different. It's on a Sunday. I've got a couple topics that I'm in my brain to talk about if no questions come through. Of course, your questions will be what really makes the show. So ask as many questions as you want to ask. There's no guests today. It's just me. I am planning on bringing more guests on. I have some friends I want to bring on. But I also have some friends from YouTube I want to bring on. I want to bring on Adam AR Drummer. CCM Drummer from Brazil is on. Nice to see you today. And Lori Jones is on. How you doing, Lori? So I'm planning on bringing some people on to talk. I want to talk about their channels, about what they do and what they're about. And if you're interested in that, just email me or message me on Facebook or let me know in one of my videos you're interested in coming on, and we'll try to see if we can work something out. I think bringing people on from the community like I've done with Eric from the Drum Attic, Chadwick Perry, Tate Berkey, and KM Ken Drums Kelly has really kind of made the show a little bit more fun because I'm bringing some of the community in. Now, I want to shout out to one show. Drumman 190's got a new show with LCK Drums. John, I know him as John. I think he was Drumman's drum teacher. I would say check out his show. He's got I forget the name of the show exactly, but he's did an interview this week with Dorothy Taylor, the woman who's about my age, who plays drums, who's been on Drumeo and got some million view videos and stuff. So she's one of the new YouTube rising stars. I don't think I'm ever going to be that, being this old fat dude that I am. So it could have happened for me. But I love playing drums, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So Neville's got a question. You play your snare with stick reversed. When did you choose to switch to this? Is it for a fatter tone or just for convenience? That is a great question, Neville. It's a question that truthfully goes all the way back to when I started playing drums. First off, I started watching guys like Steve Gadd and Hal Blaine trying to get more power out of their traditional grip by flipping the stick over. And Steve Gadd was one of the first people I saw do that. And I started to realize that to go from a cross stick on a club date when I was doing a lot of weddings and stuff. And back in the 70s and 80s, when I first started doing weddings and commercial gigs, you played a lot of bossa novas. Good morning, Tate. You play a lot of bossa novas, a lot of cha-chas and rumbas and stuff, and a lot of cross stick stuff. So to go from a cross stick and then go to the toms or go back to a backbeat, it was just easier to do it with the back end of the stick. Plus, it had a certain sound. So it became a sound ease of comfort thing for me more than anything else. I will say in the years like now, I don't think it helps my technique not playing with balanced sticks sometimes. I think my left hand suffers sometimes for it. And I don't pull out as much out of my left hand as I probably could get away with if I was practicing one way. But I found that now for recording, it's just the sound. It's the way I get my sound. You know what I mean? So it's really been something that goes way back. It goes 40 plus years back. And I've been doing it a long time. So now it's just a habit. And it doesn't matter if I'm doing a swing tune and I start in traditional grip, I'll flip over at some point to the back end of the stick and start playing matched to get the power out. And it really is just that. It's just me just shooting the way I shoot and hearing what I hear. A lot of it has to do with sound, though. It is a fatter tone. It's thicker. It's got more presence, but I can play really light with it. I play back end of the stick a lot of times when I'm playing pianissimo. So that's the funny thing, man. It's just one of those things that I do and I've learned how to do. But any other questions out there? Ask questions, man. Tate says there's a lot of guys that play like that today. Wally does. Yep, Wally and Steve Ferroni too. Oh yeah, Steve Ferroni, definitely. Backbeat guys do it. Wally's a big backbeat guy. What he's done with Chicago, he's really simplified some of those parts to make them his own. And he's really a backbeat guy. That goes back to playing with Santana and Steve Winwood and all the guys he's played with. And plus he plays timbales. And timbales, you don't have a tip on the stick, so I don't think it matters to a timbale player. They're just a straight back stick. So I think you get kind of used to that. But I've seen Steve Ferroni do it. And Gad does it when he wants power. Yeah, that's his thing. Neville also asks, I love your snare sound. Those Pisties are great. Not as great as my UFIPs. I know. Neville and I have got this thing with the UFIPs. I actually played some UFIP cymbals in a drum shop about, close to 10 years ago now. I found this 22-inch UFIP, and they wanted like $400 for it then. But UFIPs, the interesting thing about UFIPs versus any other cymbal is it's cast. And it's cast like a bell, meaning it sounds like a bell. And in sounding like a bell means the tone is pure. So whatever the note is of the cymbal, there's no weird overtones, which is totally different than every other cymbal manufacturer. I don't care if it's a Wuhan, a Zildjian, a Sabian, an Istanbul, or whatever other B20 cymbal or a Paiste. They all have different overtones to make that sound. But UFIP's got this very consistent tone, and all the overtones are that note. It's like a bell. So the guy showed me that, and the guy that was demonstrating it for UFIP in the store said, here, walk around the store on the Sabian, and he was playing on a Sabian, and you hear all the different weird overtones. Then he said, all right, now I'm going to play on the UFIP. Listen to this. Tell me when it changes. And it never changed. The pitch stayed the same the whole time. So there's something really unique about UFIPs, and if there was better distribution in the United States, I probably would have some UFIPs. But yep, I know they call it rotocast. That's the technique, and the Italians have done it. It's a beautiful sound. I think they're great. Blake Nunn Drums, thank you for jumping on for a few minutes. I appreciate that. I know a lot of my friends are in church this morning, so it's one of those mornings that for my church friends, they're in church, and I have other friends that are jumping on, so that's great. Any questions today? If not, I had a topic I wanted to talk about. Was these new things called shorts on YouTube. I did one this week. It was about this week. I found it to be pretty useless. Didn't really do anything for me. Didn't get any push into the stream, so to speak. And I'm really not sure what they're about. And I think it's because I'm a boomer. Okay, I think if I was a millennial or whatever they call the next generation, which I do know because I have grandkids in that age group, just so you know. But I think the attention span of everybody is just changing, and they're pushing these shorts, but I don't get it. And I tried one, and you have to put it in a certain ratio to get it on. And then when you get it on, where does it go? And you can't find it on a computer. You can't find it on an iPad. You can only find it on an iPhone. It's a very strange thing. So I'd love to get some of your opinions on shorts, if they're worth it. Hi, Drum Covers by Bill. Welcome for being here today, Bill. It's 3 p.m. here. I have to continue with the, hey, thanks for dropping in, Neville. I appreciate it. And asking questions. Lori Jones, see you're using 2002s. Do you ever mix cymbals up? Sabian hats, Zildjian Ks, Keropes. You know, I do occasionally, not for drum covers very often. Jeff Porcaro, one of the setups Jeff Porcaro had in the 80s, the late 80s, and it was in a Modern Drummer magazine, he talked about it, was he had his Paiste cymbals, and then he had some other hi-hats, and he was known for his hi-hat playing. And his favorite hi-hat cymbals for Paiste, I think, were like a 13-inch set of Paiste heavy hi-hats, 602, Formula 602 blue labels. But I know he had a set of Rudes. I know he had 2002s. He had access to everything. But in the Modern Drummer article, he talked about his KZs, 13-inch KZs, and he talked about a set of UFIPs, heavy, 14-inch, that he picked up on the road somewhere. And he was known for mixing things up. So it's not unlikely to mix things up. A lot of the studio guys did that back in the 70s and 80s, especially with the hi-hats. The 2002 Sound Edge hi-hats were really popular with studio guys. They would use them all the time. So it wasn't uncommon for guys to be using Zildjian cymbals and throw up Paiste 2002 Sound Edges. Rick Marotta used to use a Sound Edge bottom sometimes on his cymbals. Before Zildjian made the scalloped, edge bottom that they make today in the Master Sound series. Before that, the only place you could get that was Paiste, and a lot of guys wanted that less locked up chick sound. So guys went to that. Unfortunately, my one set of Sound Edge hi-hats I gave away with a drum kit. It was a set of Formula 602 14-inch Sound Edge hats that I bought with a kit for $500. And when I sold the kit in pieces, one point I sold it with the hi-hats to a student of mine. And the top cymbal had a crack in it. And I wish I kept it because I would love to pair that bottom cymbal with all my Paistes I have. But I wasn't hip enough back in my 20s to figure that out when I had those. And it takes a while to get hip. We didn't have the internet to be hip. We had to find our hipness by reading Modern Drummer and other places, and you started to see certain things. And I went to Sabian in the mid-'80s. I played Sabian cymbals all the way up through 2013, pretty much. It was Sabian. I had a whole set of I still have them. 80 Sabians, a 19-inch medium heavy ride, 17-inch thin crash, an 18-inch sound controlled crash ride. I have a set of 13-inch, regular hats, Sabian. I also have a 19-inch AAX studio crash. I had a 14-inch AAX studio crash. I had a 15-inch AAX studio crash. I acquired in 2012 a 20-inch HH medium ride from the 80s. And I was still deeply into Sabian. And all of a sudden, I went to Maxwell's drum shop in New York and I bought that Kerope. And I said, well, maybe I should get back to my Zildjian roots. I had some Zildjian still around. My wife just bought me an 18-inch Armand Crash, and I didn't have anything to pair it with. And I thought, well, let's try the Keropes. They sound like those dark jazz cymbals, and they are those dark jazz cymbals, and they're even darker than the Constantinoples. I mean, the Constantinoples have some of that nice sizzle on them that the Keropes don't. The Keropes are really, really dark. And I went super dark. That's what I was looking for the whole time I was in Sabian. I found it in the Keropes. And then I also found an opportunity to buy some Paistes. And then as soon as I got the Paistes in the studio and started recording with them, I was like, holy crud, this is where to go. I already had the 20-inch Dark Energy ride that I loved. And it sounds like Steve Gadd's ride. It really has that kind of dry, dark thing. But when I started pairing it up with all the different crashes, the Paiste crashes I never had, it really made a difference for me. So let's see what else we got going on here. So I'm going backwards. Thinking of shorts, CCM Drummer says are good for the Instagram folks, but YouTube, I think the shorts cheapen the song for the drummer trying to cover. I agree. I throw most of my short videos are on Instagram, and I have an Instagram following. I can't seem to crack 600 though, and it's very strange. Instagram's very strange. They're constantly hitting you up to basically get more views and get more followers and people that will buy them for you. And I just won't spend. It's only $15 to get a couple more. Get that over that thing. I've got so many videos on Instagram, but no, I won't spend the money. I don't like the non-real follower thing. But it's a game, and Instagram's a game. My wife and I were talking about shorts and Instagram and what they're doing to us. And my wife's got a PhD, okay, just so you know. And we were talking about neuroplasticity and how our brain changes, in this new world that's all image-based versus the linear thinking of reading books. And we got really deep this morning. We had a real deep one. And that's the one thing I came out with was the shorts are really targeted at the younger generation that has an attention span of about 15 seconds is what they're saying. And that's all they're giving you credit for, 15 to a minute, and then you're out. And that's what, if you watch your statistics on your videos, there are guys that don't watch more than 2 minutes, and I get that. Maybe it's for time constraints. Maybe there's too many followers. Like I follow a lot of people. I try to watch all your videos, but I don't always get through every one of them. But if there's one I love, like I'm going to watch it all the way through because I'm trying to learn something from what you're doing. If it's just one of those things I want to encourage you, I'll just encourage you. I'm being honest about those things. But I think the new short world, Instagram world, is basically set up to basically give you an attention span that's very short and feed you what they want to feed you and get you used to feeding you whatever they want to feed you. And, I had to do this to my Instagram feed for searches. There's a way to actually delete videos you don't want to see. Because when you touch one video and all of a sudden they think you want to watch that topic. And if it's not something you want to watch and you say, well, how did this get here? And then they start feeding it to you, it's a problem. So I just got rid of a lot of crap. And I have only drum videos on my Instagram. I really fight when they start throwing crap at me because I don't really want to watch the stuff. And that's the problem. They're programming us to watch the stuff our brain wants to see it, but we don't really in our heart want to see it, And that's unfortunately the new world we're living in. They are telling us what to watch. Most of us never stray outside the YouTube, whatever they feed us on YouTube in the feed. That's where most people go. And that's why it's hard for us drummers to break through unless we develop a following and we watch the subscription videos. And that's what I do to watch all your videos is I watch the subscription. So when you put a video up, I want to know about it. So Blake Nunn asks, I have no clue what makes the difference between the ones that get viewed and the amount. Yeah, nobody does, by the way. Nobody has a clue on the shorts. I've asked other channels what it means, the way they have sub views. Yeah, it's a mystery, and I don't think it's going to last on YouTube, to be honest. I think it's going to be one of the failures. YouTube does best as the long-form videos. YouTube was going to be a TV channel. That's their goal. That's why they keep trying to sell you a subscription to it. Their initial intention was not that short market. Now, TikTok changed everything a year ago, and everybody's going short because they can blast silly information in your brain and get you lost in it and looking at more and more stupid videos. And the more stupid videos they get you to watch, and it's usually those very pretty girls that basically are dancing around. They pop one of them in there, you hit one of those or two of them or three of them, and all of a sudden your feed's fed with that crap. You got it, and I got grandchildren that age. I don't want to see that stuff, to be honest. I don't want to be there. So it is quite a new world we're living in right now. Let's see. Tate says, what's the purpose of uploading small bits of your old videos? Chadwick, is it just so they show up on the short? Yeah, Chadwick's got a plan. That's what's going on right now. Chad, you've got a plan, I can tell. And you're getting, if you're trying to grow your channel, that's might be a way to do it. And I'm not going to diss anybody from doing it. Don't get me wrong. I think what Chad's doing is fine, go for it. we're all trying to build our channels up so we get more followers following us and watching us. It may pop. It may pop. For me, I just can't go there. I've already committed to the other side of this, and I've got a following in the other side. So that's why I'm staying here. And it's a pain to switch to that format for them. I mean, I did it in Final Cut. It's not impossible to flip to that format, but it is a pain. I will say it is a pain to do it. So let's see. Go back and find material from. Yeah, well, that's what you can do. I mean, that's what I do on Instagram every day too, Chadwick, is I basically just go find my videos. I had a friend last Sunday. I posted Ain't Nobody by Rufus because I did it last week. And sometimes the place you'll find my newest video is on Instagram the day I do it. Sometimes I'll just take a piece of it and send it up there. And I did Ain't Nobody, and a friend of mine, a real old friend from when I was a kid, his name is Brian Arscott. He's definitely not on this feed. He basically said, "Hey, can you Make Me Smile by Chicago?" And I went and found the video I did of it and took a clip of that and shoved it up on Instagram. I had put it there 2-3 years ago, but he wanted to see it again, so he's not going to search that far back in 1,500. I got 1,200 videos on Instagram. Only 600, not even 600 followers. What does that tell you about Instagram for me? It's not working, right? I should give it up. I've thought about it a few times. We'll tell you that. Anyhow, never got more than 3,500 views in 24 hours. That's you've gotten that on Instagram, Blake? I did not know you were on Instagram. I'll have to find you now. Tate gets high watches on his Instagram. The highest number I've gotten on my Instagram was that Aretha Franklin video I did, Feels Like a Natural Woman, and the crazy pink background I had on the green screen. I got 1,300 views on that. I don't know how that happened. I must have had the right hashtag that day. Because, even the hashtag thing doesn't seem to work for me. But I have been getting consistently almost 200 views on my videos now, like 150 to 200. So I guess I've popped into a different level. It used to be 30 and 25, and that would be my friends. I have at least 100 real friends on Instagram. They're part of this, family and friends that are on Instagram, which is crazy. Let's see what we've gotten. Instead of creating for something we don't really understand, I'm using old material and nobody remembers. And that's a great plan, Chadwick. I'm telling you, put up some of the old stuff that nobody's seen, and that's a great way to do it. I get called out when I do things like that. Like I did a cover of the video I did. I released this morning. Free Man in Paris. I did one almost a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. It was right around the time my son passed away. And matter of fact, I think it was the video I did the day he passed away. And it's kind of a strange thing. And it was without a drumless. It didn't have a drumless track, so I was playing over the original drums, and it was the original version. And I really liked the way it came out, but I didn't like having the original drums in it, and I always wanted to redo it. And I was watching some YouTube, and the Pat Metheny Jocko version with Joni Mitchell came up on something else. It wasn't this song, and I found this one. And I said, I'm going to do this. So I did that yesterday, and I had so much fun with it. It was just toms everywhere, playing the melody that I popped it out today. But somebody may call me and say, you've done this one before. I'm like, yeah, well, I did do it before, but not this version of it. And that's the point, that's the exact point of the whole thing. So any questions, anybody? Let's see what we got going on. No, Earl, no shorts. I got that. I don't have an Instagram or Twitter. Oh, so you got that much you got 1,000 on 4,000 range on a short, Blake? I guess you jumped in early. You must have jumped in really early to get that. When I put up a new video on YouTube, I also put a 40, 60-second part of it on Instagram. Yeah. I'm going to have to find you, Neville. I'm not sure I got you on Instagram. I'll have to find you. And I know you do that, Tate. I've watched yours. I think that's how I found you, Tate, believe it or not. It's possible. It's possible I found you in the feed. I don't know. Tate did some Chicago tune, and it came up in my feed, and that was the end of it. I kind of started following Tate. So all you guys, great players. I mean, I got Chadwick's a great player. Tate's a great player. Neville's a great player. You all do different things, by the way, okay? Neville is like a metal dude. I mean, he can really play the double bass stuff and really gets that thing going. Neville, have you ever seen Trey B? I mean, if you follow Trey B, let me know. Trey B he's off the chain with his double bass stuff that he does. And he just rocks the house out. Tate's jazz rock thing and funk, I love that. And Chadwick's all over the place. You don't know what he's going to play next. You know, what rap tune's going to come at you next. So I was talking about shorts today. I was trying to think of some other things I might have to talk about if you guys don't give me questions to make this at least an hour. I'm trying to get an hour out of this. I may not. If we don't get an hour out of it, it's okay. You know, this is the hang. You know, we hang with who we get. And I love hanging with you guys. And I appreciate your feedback. And I appreciate your thoughts on things. So what do you think? What videos would you like to see me do? Let me throw that question out to anybody. That's definitely something I always like to know. And I've kind of got like this thing for being like doing certain things. I'm trying to stretch into more 80s now lately. And I will tell you, when I did Goodbye to You, the MTV version of Scandal, you know, Pat Smith and Scandal, I mean, forget about it. That video was on when I was watching MTV heavy, every time that came on, my head was like, you know, but I can't say it wasn't because it was just that video. I don't know. There was something about it. It just was mesmerizing. And that was the beginning of our brain turning to music and looking at music from a visual perspective instead of just an auditory perspective, which I think really ticked off the rock bands of the 70s, who were all doing it from the perspective of, you know, the auditory, hearing it. You wanted to hear great music. And now they had to go out and make videos. I remember Chicago's earliest videos, they hated doing videos. The first ones that they did, they hated doing them. And it cost a lot of money to do them right. But I think the thing about the Scandal video that I did was it was really raw. And they were just like a raw punk rock band at the time. I don't even know what their other music sounded like on the first album, except that one song. It was just driving tune. And then you get this chick with it in your face saying Goodbye to You and just dancing all over the place. And it was the cheapest made video. There was a couple really cheap MTV videos of the time that were just incredibly popular. That one, Tony Basil's Hey Mickey, was the stupidest video ever, but it was on all the time, you know. And then Michael Jackson kind of amped it up with Billie Jean. And once we got into the Billie Jean and the filmmakers got involved in MTV, it cost the record companies and those artists a lot of money to make videos, and they hated it. So whenever you listen to Chicago or Toto talk about, you know, they hating that era, even though Toto 4, Rosanna was that was a big hit for them, and it came because of that video. Rosanna Arquette was in it, I believe, dancing around, and that made that song just take off. So I want my MTV. Have you done that too? You're talking about, have I done Dire Straits? Is that the question? I have done that song, Money for Nothing. That is a classic MTV tune. I want my money for nothing and my chicks for free. By the way, that might get you bounced today because there's some words in the original version. I think they're probably beeping those words now because of I will just tell you something. If you go back and listen to older music, some of the lyrics of the songs are totally politically incorrect today. I just did a song. I have not released it. It's from the 60s. It's by a group called the Brooklyn Bridge. Johnny Maestro and the Brooklyn Bridge. It's called The Worst That Can Happen. I did a little clip of it on Instagram. It is the patriarchy times 100. You know, he can't satisfy the girl. She needs a house and a home, and it's incredible, the lyrics on that song. So Money for Nothing said some really interesting things in it, and it all came out of a conversation that Mark Knopfler overheard in a store. I think it was kind of probably like a department store in New York City, and they were getting ready to move some TVs and stuff, and he was listening to the moving guys talking about, you know, watching what they were seeing on MTV at the time, because MTV was in the store playing on the screen, and they're thinking to themselves, Oh yeah, all these guys get their chicks for free. They don't have to do nothing for a living. They don't work hard. And so, but I did do that song. It's a good song. Do you record continuously, or do you take one day and record 5-8 covers and then have a few weeks only posting, not recording? I sometimes record 2-3 covers in the same day and then change shirts. Yeah, I wish I changed shirts. I don't change shirts very often. I usually do my covers, Neville, on the weekends, and I blast them. And I do it on Friday evening after work. I usually do one, and then I'll usually do some on Saturdays and Sundays. If I'm not playing at church, I can get more in, like this week. But I do all my stuff on Friday to Sunday evening. I'm done. And that usually is somewhere between 5 and 7 videos a weekend, pretty much. Then during the week, I don't do covers. I just play. I'll sit down and just play drums or teach a lesson. Or like last week, I had a recording session. So I did some recording session midweek with a friend. But yeah, I don't have time during the week I work. So I actually have a day job. Matter of fact, this is a great topic you brought on, because I had somebody ask me that question. A good friend of mine asked me that question this week. How do you do this? You're going to burn yourself out. Believe it or not, playing music is not burnout for me. Playing music is fun. My wife is writing a book. My wife's got a PhD. She teaches college level. We get plenty of time together in the morning and the evenings to hang out together. During the day, she likes to do her projects, and I do my projects. And my project is my cave, my studio. And she knows that, and she lets me have fun with it. And unless we've got something we got to do, I'm in here having a blast. And playing music is what it's all about for me. And if I'm not playing music, I'm not having fun. I can't think of anything I want to do. I don't want to go sit by the beach. The beach is like 10 minutes from here. I can go sit on the beach every weekend if I have a pool that's like 2 seconds from here. I just go out the door and I can go in my pool. But how much pool do you want? I live in the Sunshine State. There's certain times when the grandkids come over. Let's go play in the pool. Let's have friends over. COVID has changed the whole world right now. So our circles are very small, and drum covers become very easy for me to hang out and do. So yeah, I wish I changed my shirt and did the whole thing that Chadwick does, changing shirts and hats, and I don't. I just play. And the funny thing is, the way I play drum covers is like I would play. I imagine myself at my mom's house playing drums. That's really what I do. And I think about those songs. Oh, I love this song. Let me put the headphones on and play to it. Or listen to it through the speakers. Really early on, I didn't have any headphones. But once I got a stereo with a headphone on it, I'd plug that in and just play along to it. Now with in-ears and it's recording studio and microphones, I can really get a nice mix to play along to and have fun with it. And I knock them out. I just have fun doing it, I don't sweat it. Sometimes I let something out that maybe I could have spent a little more time with. But I think if I spend more than an hour on a song, that's too long for me usually. So let's see what else we got going on here. Want to make sure I didn't miss anything. What's your approach to learning and recording to so quickly? And thank you, Neville. You're friends with Trey Bay. My approach really is, this is part of how I learned how to play drums and do gigs, Blake. It really is listening to a lot of music. And I've got years of listening to music. So most of the stuff I play is stuff I like to listen to still continuously. I have a playlist of what I call soft rock favorites that go somewhere between 1960 something and the 90s somewhere. And I've got like almost 600 songs in it. And I listen to that pretty much continuously still today. And they're all popular songs that you might have to play on a gig, most of them. I do have rock playlists that I like to play, and I do have my Chicago stuff, but Chicago's in there, by the way. But those are the songs that feed what I'm doing, because those are the songs I love to listen to and I love to play. And they're easy. I've listened to them so many times. I pretty much put the headphones on and just learn the specific parts as I put it on. But I am trying to stretch. Like this weekend, I did a Joe Jackson tune I hadn't heard in years. It's called Right or Wrong. The part was killer, and I didn't nail it, but I got close enough. And the funny thing about that song was actually done before a live audience. That was the album Joe Jackson did with his band. in the theater and recorded it over 5 nights. And every take is a full take. There's no cuts, edits, nothing. It's how they recorded it. And it's pretty cool. And there's a documentary on it, and parts of it are on YouTube. And I found it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Let's do this one. But that was a hard song. It took me a bit. And the worst part of it was I was really just getting zoned in yesterday on it. And I had a power outage. I had 3 short power outages, pop, 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 and it knocked my computer out. And that just bummed me out. And when I got done, I had to stop for an hour. I had my yoga class. I had to stop. Came back, turned it on, found my files, and I said, I'm not going to sit back down. And I was right in the zone. It would take me another half hour to get back in that zone. I said, no way. So you get the best take I had left that I didn't lose at that point. But that's how I do it. I listen a lot of music, and then I learn quickly. And I've had to do that on club date gigs forever. I mean, when I was 19, I remember I was a ringer. They would call me up and say, hey, can you come down and play this gig? I remember doing a country gig. I was 19 years old. It was 2 hours before the gig. I used to take lessons at Blue Note Music in Long Branch. And one of the drum teachers, a guy named Butch, calls me up and says, hey, I can't do this gig tonight. Can you do it? It pays $40. And I said, okay, where's that? It's the bar down by the boardwalk in Long Branch. I said, okay. I forget the name of the bar, though. It's a long time ago, real long time ago. So anyhow, packed my drums up, went to the gig, set up for the gig. It was country. I knew no songs. I'm 19. I never listened to country music in my life. Okay, I knew a 2-beat, knew swing, knew the basic beats. You know what I mean? I get there and I'm setting up, and the guitar player's band says to me, hey, you want a beer? Now, yes, we could drink beer at 18 when I was a kid. So I said, yeah, I'll have a beer. He gave me 1 beer. Got 1 beer for the gig. Okay. And that was the only beer I had. The rest was water the rest of the night. By the end of the night, this guy was so tanked. We started with the lights on, and by the end of the night, the last set we were in the black. You couldn't even see the band because he had to turn the lights off. He couldn't handle it. So, but I played that whole gig cold. I knew nothing. And the bass player would say, yeah, swing. Yeah, kind of rock groove. Yeah, 2-beat. That's all I would get. And I would just start playing. And as long as you understand form, A, B, A, B, A, A, B, A, C, bridge, if you can understand song form, you can follow. And I followed that whole gig. Now I'll tell you the ending part of the story. I got done doing the gig, and I was finished, and I'm tearing my drums down, and the guy pays me, and he gives me $35. And I look at the leader, I said, I thought this gig paid $40. And he goes, no, man, you had a beer. You had some beers, so I take that out. That's your bar bill. He had my beers. Freaking drank he drank his paycheck away. Okay? And he basically took money out of my pocket. And I was pissed. And then he had the audacity to say, will you come back tomorrow night and play? I said, no. So here's the lesson. I'll go play a gig for somebody. You tell me you're going to do it, pay me. I'll take whatever you said you'd pay me. But if you don't pay me what you said you were going to pay me, I'm not working with you again. And if I work with you for a price and I find out that price was the wrong price, I'm not working with you again. I am not getting ripped off by people. And I learned that at 19, real early in my career. You just don't let people walk on you like that. But that's why I learned music so quick, is I've been working at this since I was 18, 19 years old. I learned music fast. So you listen and use your ears and you get through things. Now, is it the exact parts? Probably not. And that's the problem with YouTube. Everybody wants the exact part. That's why I'm not playing any Rush songs, just so you know. I don't have the time to figure out every little lick that Neil Peart did. I just don't have the desire to do it either, by the way. And the bottom stuff, I respect the guy too much to screw that up, so I don't screw that up. And I respect Neil Peart too much to not screw his up. I love the Chicago stuff, though. I don't care. I'm going to keep trying to do that stuff because Danny's my favorite. Let's see what else we got. Are all your covers one take? No, I wish it was all one take. I will tell you my covers are this way. I turn the camera on and I play until I get the take. So I may have never played the song in my life, but I will only play it until I get the take, and then I'm done. And usually that will be somewhere around, anywhere from 3 to 4 to 20 times I'll play it. And I'll probably play it no more than an hour. That's the other thing. I usually get to about an hour and I'm tired and I don't want to play anymore. And I'll take one of the takes at that point. That's what I did with Asia, by the way, when I did Steely Dan's Asia. And the funny thing about Asia was I played it 15 times, the whole song, which is an 8-minute song. And I went back to take number 8 to find the one that I ended up using. And it actually was really good. But I keep thinking to myself, I'm going to do it better. One more, I'll do it better. One more, I'll do it better. And then I get to the point where I do the one more, I'll do it better. And I go and I really do it really bad. And I go, I have no more in me. That happened with Free Man in Paris yesterday. I think I did that song 5 times. And by the 6th time I tried to do it, it was like, I'm done. And it was 2 takes back. And I used the one that was like the 4th take. But that was a really tough song. It had a lot of it was all like the drummer was Don Elias on the track. And he was playing these tom things where he's like, duh, duh, duh. And he's like hitting off the left hand all the time. So he's playing singles across the tom. And I was trying to do the lefts with the foot. And it's not a natural thing to go left with the foot, believe it or not. So you got to practice those things. There's an exercise in syncopation I used to do where you took the accent page and you would basically play the tom hits off the other hand, so and you pop it with the left hand and that kind of builds your ability to go around the kit. And that's something I used to practice a lot. Sometimes I'll just practice it now for fun, those kind of patterns, so I get the left hand going. But my left side is still not where it should be at this age and all the years I've been playing. And that's what John J.R. Robinson told me when he said, you can work on your left side. I'll give you an exercise. He did. It's a really good exercise. I do practice that once in a while too. I don't practice a lot, but if I do practice, there's a few things I like to work on. Let's see what else we got. I'm sure I missed a bunch now. All covers are not one take. Thank you about my story. Thank you. Yes, the power outage did suck, no doubt about it. Russell calls that the okie dokie. That happened to me on my first gig too, where he didn't share any tips, shorts me. Yeah, okie dokie. Yeah, that's okie dokie, never play with you again. That's what that ends up being. He came back to me and was like, oh man, should have gave you the okie dokie for the first gig. Yeah. That means he doesn't want to play with you again, is what they're saying. And by the way, I had enough guys like that. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. I saw something a second ago. Where'd it go? It was something by Tate. Being in school and not at home, I've had to do all my covers, so always do stuff. Everything uploaded in the winter. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I guess you're set your levels for your drums. This was Laurie Jones. And mix for your covers you're playing. Yeah, pretty much I have worked from a template. I actually have a video on this, on how I make drum covers. And I have a Logic template. And I have my board set. And I don't touch levels on anything. I rarely go in and touch the trim knobs. Once I've got it set, I kind of keep them. Every once in a while, we'll do a recording session here. And I'll have a friend engineering. And he engineers. He wants to touch all the knobs. I said, just don't touch the knobs on the drum stuff. Please don't touch it because it really screws me up. The next day I go back to it. But now I take pictures of it so I remember where they are and I just move it back. Eric. Hi, Eric. F drums and welcome. And I see we've got, let's see, any more questions? She called you back for another gig? That's funny. They usually do, by the way. They'll call you back someday. They forget they screwed you. That's the funny thing. It's like, yeah, nice knowing you. Any other questions I missed? I'm trying to go back through this a little bit. I appreciate you all being here today. I really do. And I know I've lost a couple, but you know what? This is what it is. You guys like to listen to me talk. That's apparently what the truth of the matter is. That's what Ask Earl Anything is. I'm always surprised when guys watch that show, by the way. The whole time I've been doing it. It's kind of one of the funniest aspects of my YouTube career is Ask Earl Anything. That came out as an accident, complete accident. I didn't plan it or anything. And one day somebody said, hey, I want to ask you a question. It was too detailed to write it. I said, I'm gonna answer your question on a video. And I did that show at the first Ask Earl show. And Next week I did another one. I had 3-4 more questions, and guys would do that. So I appreciate, thank you, Bill, for saying that. I appreciate questions. So if you guys have any questions, you'll get me to go down a rabbit hole. The reason I can talk about drums is because I've been doing it a long time. That's why. I can talk about a lot of musical topics because I've been doing it a long time. I'm sure you guys could too. Now, I will tell you, part of my background, just so you all know, is my day job is safety and training. And for 30 years, I've been doing safety and training. And I've taught a lot of classes in classrooms where I had to teach all day long and I had to keep the conversation going. And my previous career before the company I'm at now, I did that for 7 years. I had guys doing that work for me, and I was the higher level guy. And then I had to fire all those guys in the recession of 2008 and 9. And I became the guy for that company. And I did that for 7 years on the road. And that's where I got all my Marriott reward points from and everything. And during that time, I got really good at talking and in front of people. And the funny thing was, in 16, when I did my first talking video about Paiste cymbals, people latched onto it because I was basically talking from the knowledge I had, like I was teaching. And so I come off probably like a teacher sometimes because that's my background, is to teach. So I like teaching. And I enjoy teaching drum lessons. I don't do a lot of it, but I do enjoy doing it once in a while. And I love talking about drums. If you get in a conversation about drums, I can go any different direction you want to go in. You know, that's the fun thing. And the funny thing was, the other guy that inspired me was Terry Keating, which a lot of you guys know Terry Keating's, discussions and rants on Paiste cymbals. That I found him when I bought my 505, my 20-inch 505 Crash in 2014. That was the thing that got me. I was looking to know more about 505s, and he had a wealth of knowledge about 505s. And I had a 505 before that, and now I was getting back to buying 505s. So I had a 505 20-inch Crash. I was like, I want to know more about these crash cymbals. And Terry Keating was doing it, and he was just sitting in his basement yapping at a camera. And I would watch it for like a half hour at a time. It was like, people do this. And my wife walked in one day and she goes, people do this. You should talk about stuff. You know stuff. Talk about it. So I appreciate you all sitting here listening to me. I lost another one during that rant. Sorry about that. Anyhow, so much fun. So much fun. Any questions today? Any questions at all? Any thoughts about drumming that you guys want to talk about? Anything at all? I mean, I only have time to make more drum covers. So that'll be the rest of my day, is making more drum covers. So, yep. Tate loves Bonzolian too. Yeah, his stories are just incredible. He had a live stream last week about, I think it was Paiste cymbals, and he had Paiste Bob on. And I asked the question. I actually got in the feed somehow. It was midday. It was like I should have been working, but I turned it on. He comes on like 4 o'clock in the afternoon kind of thing on a Thursday. It was kind of cool. I love listening. I love jumping in on live streams once in a while. I'll try. It's always hard to get questions in, and but when you only got 8 guys, you guys can ask any question you want. I'll keep talking about stuff. Let's see. Lori just says, thanks, Blake. Just got a Mackie mixer, starting to get into the DAW side. Yep. Lori, you're going to start posting some drum covers. Hey, I got a question for you guys, and maybe some of you have the answer to this because you're all YouTubers. What's the best camera for YouTube? I'm looking to buy some dedicated cameras. I'm looking for something that'll record and keep recording straight on. Like, I have a DSLR, Canon DSLR. That was my first camera. It's a great picture camera. It records for 11 minutes. And see, part of the way I make drum covers is I use an iPhone right now, and it will record for an hour and a half. If there is memory on that iPhone, it will keep going. That's the cool thing. So I have to clean out my phone all the time, constantly deleting stuff, so I have space on my phone. Thank you, Eric, for that Hero 8. Does the Hero 8 actually allow you to record for like an hour at a time? That's what I'm trying to find out. A lot of times with these cards, they shut off after a certain period of time. And that's what happened on my DSLR. it shuts off after 11 minutes. I have to get up and restart it. Now, I have been using the DSLR a little bit, and if you're doing 2-minute, 3-minute songs, it's not a problem. But if you're recording 5-6-minute songs, you get one pass, then you got to get up and hit the button again. That takes me out of the flow. I literally sit here and play and I have a transport. I have an iPad transport. And I literally hit the iPad transport, start again, do it again. Sometimes I'll get like halfway in the song and I blew it. I'll stop it and rewind it, do it again. And I don't have to think about the camera. The camera just keeps recording. And that's what makes my flow work for me. So let's see what you guys have to say about that. Eric, yeah, I've never had any issues. Used it to break them up into 5-minute chunks, but I don't think it doesn't. So Eric, it actually records a long period of time. That's what I'm trying to find out about the GoPros. What about, I use all Canon, Bill says Canon cameras. Not sure how long they record though. If I goof up, I have Lynn shut off. Yeah, it's nice to have a production team, Bill. Say hi to Lynn, by the way. Hi, Lynn. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Ever think about getting one of the Zoom cameras? I have a Zoom camera. I have one of the early Zoom cameras. It's a terrible picture, Tate. I hate it. It will record 40 minutes, though. It'll go 40 minutes before it shuts off, that Zoom. I've had problems with the Canon I was using. Yep, I know. Got that. Eric says, I'll do the same thing. I'll just keep recording, and if I mess up, that's it. So how long does your camera go, Eric? Thank you, Bill, for saying Lynn says hi back. Tim, welcome to the party. We're talking about cameras right now. I'm trying to find the best camera for long recordings that doesn't shut off in 10 minutes or 11 minutes. That's the worst. Because I like to buy a couple dedicated cameras just for my studio and just keep them mounted up. Pretty much. I would always move them, though. I think that's what makes my videos different is I'm constantly moving the camera. It never stays in the same place. So I think I've seen guys that have like multiple cameras, they get them set and they never touch it again. And all they have is those angles all the time. So I'm constantly trying to move I only use one camera sometimes. So if you only use one camera, you better move it around. Otherwise, that's the same angle all the time. And I know there are guys that do that. Blake says HQ3 zooms are cool. Better to get a Shure USB mic though. Yeah, I don't use the camera audio for anything. Camera audio is not part of my game. Camera audio is only for syncing the video. So I don't really care about the audio. All I care about is the picture. I think the Hero 4 GoPros keep filming. Thank you. Even when the screen shuts down. That's the important thing is that it just keeps going. You know, that's the beauty of the iPhone and the iPad. And I love using my iPad. It runs out of steam quickly, you know. I'm at 45% now. I started here on this video an hour ago. I think I was probably at like 70, and it'll be down to 30, 20 real soon. I'll have to, you know, I'm constantly using iPad though. iPad is my favorite device of all time. I mean, I can sit there and just play on an iPad all day long, play games on it and whatever, watch YouTube videos. So, all right, some good ideas. Hero 4 possibly. I definitely want to get the right camera though. That's the key. The newer Zooms are supposedly better, but I'm really trying to find one that has good. Nothing. I mean, my iPhone 10 XR is like, I don't know. The video's good on it, and so is the video good on my iPad. I have an iPad Pro from 2017. Definitely, yeah, Eric. You dump the audio. I mean, there are guys that if you need audio, you may as well go with a Zoom because Zoom's gonna have audio. My HQ3 or whatever that funky camera is great for audio. Sometimes all I use it for is recording audio for my wife's videos. My wife has a YouTube channel. It's an inspirational channel. She talks about Thomas Merton and all kinds of people and stuff. And I use she wants the clarity of the DSLR. But she doesn't want the audio of it necessarily. Actually, I found that the audio is pretty not so happening. So I started using the Zoom camera and syncing the audio. It works well. But yeah, if you're using if you need a camera for audio, Zoom's probably the best out there. Zoom makes some great audio cameras. I will say that. That's why I bought the first one was for the audio because I was thinking audio. I wasn't really thinking video. Lori Jones, does the video length also depend upon the file format and the SD card and the max? Yeah, that's all part of it. If your card maxes out, definitely a problem. But on the Canon one, on my DSLR, it does not matter if there's space. It will stop after 11 minutes. 11 minutes, it's done. 4 gig. It goes 4 gigabytes. Once it is 4 gigabytes, it's done. So the file size is only going to be 4 gigabytes. I think that's what you're talking about too. And that's the difference with the iPhone. Nice to see Drumico here today. Gunter. Hi, Gunter. And Tim Bragg and Eric F. Drums and Tate Berkey and Blake's been here all the whole time, and drum covers by Bill with Lynn. Hi. And Chadwick was here for a bit. And Nebel was on for a bit. Hi, everybody that's just jumping on right now. Any questions? We're talking cameras, but we don't have to talk cameras. We can talk other things. I had an interesting question this week. Some of you guys are the electronic drum guys out there. A friend of mine asked me a question, and I think I answered on Ask Earl Anything. The last show I did, if you got to the very end, you saw it. And it was a question about e-drums. And would I ever consider using e-drums? And some of you guys do great things with e-drums. Eric does a lot of cool things with his. You got a great kit, Eric, for e-drums. I mean, it looks like a real drum kit. That's what kind of does it. I know Bill's been using real cymbals with his e-kit. It's something that happened after you came down to my house, visited my studio. You started buying cymbals, and all of a sudden now you got cymbals in your setup. I know that's something that Beats by Jay did. Because the truth of the matter is, e-cymbals are part of the problem. I have a hard time with e-cymbals. But you got to check out I saw that comment about the GoPro. I will check out the GoPros. It seems like GoPro's the one. So anyhow, the question came down, would I consider doing e-drums? And for me, having this recording studio, to be honest, and having all these drums, and having a place to record real drums, doing e-drums doesn't make sense to me. And e-drums for me has always been something that was an effect. It goes back to MTV, goes back to the 80s. When I saw the first, actually, it goes back to the 70s. When I saw the first Sin drums, the ones that goes, boo, 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 boo. It was an effect, but I thought it was really cool. I always wanted a Sin drum. Sin drums came and went that fast, literally. I remember hearing it on Little River Band. Boo! On Reminiscent, boo! Loved the sound. And it was gone. It was gone so fast it wasn't even funny. And then all of a sudden MTV showed up, and those Simmons pads looked really cool. Kajagoogoo, Simmons pads, Spandau Ballet, Simmons pads. Simmons pads were everywhere. Phil Collins had Simmons pads all over the place. Dave Weckl had a setup with Simmons pads. Everybody had Simmons pads for a while there. And it was like, I want Simmons pads. And they were the coolest sound for about 4 years. And then you can only find Bill Bruford doing it. And then e-drums turned into real drums. And really when the Roland V drum hit, that was the real transformation point of electronic drums for me. Because that turned into like a real drum kit. And a Roland V drum kit's like $5,000. It's like you're buying a DW kit or a Gretsch U.S. Custom, as they call them today. Mine is not a U.S. Custom. It's a regular old Gretsch kit from the 70s. But point is, e-drums changed. So the question to me was, will you consider doing e-drums? And I said to myself, I don't want to do e-drums until I have to move into a condo with my wife on the beach, and I have no place to play drums. And then I'll probably buy an e-drum kit, because that'll be the last hurrah for me, pretty much. Maybe I'll have an acoustic kit to go play with a bunch of old guys, playing dance music at some, I don't know, some little party or something, once in a while. Pull out the cymbals and play real drums, but play the e-kit at home. And that's what it reminds me of retirement for me. That's my problem. So that's why you won't see me getting an e-drum set up, because for me, it looks like retirement to me. And I don't want to retire yet. Hi, Rich Raw Dog. Nice to see you today. And you are up early on the West Coast. Rich is in Seattle. Yeah, I haven't made this easy for my West Coast friends, unfortunately. But thank you for joining today. I'm glad we popped into this hour here. So anyhow, my whole thing with e-drums is I love the guys that do it and do it right. Great stuff. But for me, having the opportunity to play real drums has become more important. Matter of fact, I rarely do e-drum gigs in churches. Usually if they find out they have e-drums, I don't want to do it. And I had a really funny experience with an e-drum in a church once. I was asked to play drums at this Baptist church in Coral Springs when I used to live down in that section of Florida, which is about an hour from here. And I got to the gig and they had a V-drum kit and they said, bring your headphones. And I said, where do I plug into? It wasn't the monitoring system. They said, well, you got to plug into the back of the V-drum module. I should have known that was the problem right there. So I put my headphones in the back of the V-drum module. I've got a monitor pointing at me, giving me the music, and I'm playing the kit. So she calls off the first tune, and we start playing, and I'm playing the V-drum kit, and nobody's with me. Not one person is listening to me and with me. And I get about into the first verse, and I realize nobody is listening to the drums. They're playing something else. They're playing with the piano player maybe, but they're not playing with me. And I stop and I stand up. And the worship leader was the pastor's wife, and she was playing piano. And I said, stop, wait a second. I said, do you guys hear me? Because you're not playing along with me. And they said, oh, the other drummer doesn't play real well. We don't listen to the other drummer. We just turn him off. So he's not we don't listen to him. It's like, well, if you're not going to listen to me, I can go home right now because I'm not playing with a bunch of musicians just to hit pads and do nothing. Is that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your whole life? And I said, put me in the monitors and listen to me and we'll play. And if it's not working out, I can leave, Well, they put me in the monitors and the guitar player came up to me after the break and said, hey, it's really great to play along with a drummer. It's like, yeah, that's why you have a drummer on stage. You is to play along with the drummer. Come on, man. How ridiculous is that? Anyhow, let's see if any questions came in while I was ranting about e-drums. Bill says, after switching to real cymbals, I found the E cymbals just don't have it. Yeah, I know. Claus says, for me, I think a couple of Simmons toms would be a nice add-on. Yeah, if I could find some Simmons drums that were in good shape, I would do it. Chadwick Perry's got a set of Simmons drums. I think he's been using electronics a long time. I think he's acquired them. And he said only 2 of his pads really work. But he runs everything into his sampler. If I could get a couple of Simmons pads that worked and run it into my SPDSX, I would love to use that once in a while and do some 80s tunes. That would be kind of the way to do it. Like when I did Kajagoogoo, I really wanted some Simmons drums, but didn't have it. Eric says, early honesty, I think if you sat down at the kit of mine that blurs the lines between acoustic and electric, I think you would have a blast. I think I'd have a blast too. Don't get me wrong. I think I'd have a blast on a really good E-kit. The problem, again, is spending that kind of money when I've spent so much money on real drums and real cymbals. I mean, and the thing is, for me, the cymbals don't have the same feel. And it's the levels of dynamic is what I'm talking about. I think with a snare drum, where you're trying to hit the compressor so you get to pop, pop all the time, right? Well, with the cymbals, you want something that's got a little bit of more sounds to it. And I can tell you, just hitting this hi-hat, which you can't see, there's such a different way of playing it because you can play it soft and it just gradually descends in. And I don't think I get that out of E cymbals ever. Now, you can tell me I'm wrong. I think the closest was those Zildjian cymbals, but even those didn't seem to have that to me. That was one of the things that got me. Rich Raw Dog said, at Eric, I think I like your E-kit better. Brought the Alesis Nitro for practice, but you got an E-kit then, Rich. That's cool. All right. Very cool. Anyhow, I went down this E-kit rant just to say that I'm not opposed to them. And one day I'm probably going to have a set. This is going to be in an apartment somewhere with my wife and probably won't be playing drum covers again. So I don't know if I'll ever spend thousands of dollars on one. But I don't think I'd be very happy if I didn't probably convert a kit into an e-kit. That'd probably be the only way it'd be any fun to me. But the cymbals are really still the issue to me. That cymbal sound is really the thing that really, it's hard for me. And I mean, Superior Drummer or whatever software you're running, that helps. That helps, Steven Slate drums, whatever it is. Definitely helps, no doubt about it. Let's see. They are pressure sensitive, but nothing like real cymbals. Yeah, that's the problem with me too. Agree with Blake. You can keep the volume down with flick sticks or routes. When it comes to volume issues, and I know that's what Rich is dealing with in his house, being too close to his neighbor, that becomes an issue for people. And if you live in the wrong neighborhood, that could be a problem. So I lived in a gated community for about 4 years in Coral Springs, and I did my wife's album in that time, and I was right on top of my neighbors. I didn't care. I never played drums at 10 o'clock at night, though. You know what I mean? I just did not care. Of course, my neighbor that was right next to me, he didn't care about playing his music till 11 o'clock at night, and right next to my bedroom. And you know what? I didn't ever say anything to him, and he loved me. And I'll tell you another funny story. This is a real funny story. I don't think I've ever told this on Ask Earl anything. I finished my wife's album, and I was doing my first consulting gigs, and I was working for the company I ended up with for 12 years. And I just finished my wife's album, and I had lost my job to start my consulting gig. And when I lost my job, the first thing that went was the lawn guy. So the lawn, I had no lawn. It was 0 lot line. Coral Springs was 0 lot line houses right on top of one another, like within 8 feet of each other on each side. So I got this guy's house right next to me. His kitchen's there, and I'm playing my drums in the bedroom. And I decide, well, I'm going to fertilize my lawn. I pull out my old fertilizer from New Jersey and put the fertilizer in. This is January down here, and I'm fertilizing my lawn, do my fertilization of the lawn. Well, the problem was the fertilizer wasn't set up properly. It hadn't been calibrated in years. Matter of fact, it went through a move and all kinds of stuff. So I zebraed the lawn, and zebra the lawn means there was too much fertilizer coming out of one side and not enough. And the side that had too much fertilizer made it brown, and the other side just made it just green enough. So when March showed up, I had a zebra lawn. I had green and brown stripes all over my lawn. And living in a gated community is not a happy thing for people. They don't like that. My neighbor, who liked to play his music till 11 o'clock at night, he was on the board. And his wife was on the board. And she comes up to me the next weekend and says, yeah, you're going to have to resod your front yard. I'm like, resod my front yard? Are you kidding me? It's grass. It's going to grow back. Don't worry about it. It'll grow back. Then I get a letter that week. You have to resod your lawn within 30 days. We're going to fine you, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I was so ticked. It was like, are you kidding me? You're going to fine me? And I was like, my wife just took the job here in West Palm Beach at Palm Beach Atlantic University. I was just offered the job to work in Tampa, but I told them I would not move because my wife got the job in West Palm Beach. But we were thinking about moving to West Palm Beach area, which is about 50 minutes north. So I got this letter, and I said to my wife, I am ticked. Let's get a lawn guy. Let's resod the front yard. Let's fix up the 3 palm trees I can't touch, because I couldn't touch the palm trees. I couldn't touch the tree that hung over top of my mailbox, where the bird used to sit and poop on my mailbox, and I get letters from the association about the mailbox and poop on it. Couldn't do anything about that. If I touched it, they would fine me for that. So I redid my front lawn. I said, as soon as I redo this front lawn, we're going to put the house on the market. We're moving out of this place. And that's what happened. We redid the front lawn, and the neighbors came out and said, oh, your front lawn looks so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and the flower beds look so beautiful. And I said, great. The house is on the market. And 8 days later, we were out of there. We sold the house like boom. Then I had to find a house, and this is when we found this house with the detached garage. I don't bother my wife. She doesn't bother me. I have an office. I have a studio. This is what I always wanted. And that changed my life from that point on. And every other recording project I've done is now in my own house, has been done in the studio here. And that's why I am so blessed. And that's what I say. One day when I have to get rid of it, I will get an E-kit. But until then, I'm going to play as many drums as possible. But you got to love homeowners associations, especially in South Florida. They are the worst. I live on a street where there is no homeowners association. Nobody tells me I have to paint my house if I don't want to. Nobody tells me what I have to do. I live on a canal. I'll tell you one other funny story. Since I got you guys and I'm getting more people as I tell the funny stories. Here's another funny story. And Bill's been to my house, so he'll attest to this. I live at the end of a street. It's a dead end street. Now, where I also live, you come off 95, 2 miles off 95 West in Palm Springs, is a school zone. And in that school zone, it ends on my street. And usually in the afternoons, there's 2 cops sitting there, one on a motorcycle and one with a gun. And he sits behind the trees. You can't see him. And if you go over 20 miles an hour, he gets you. Okay? So this has happened to me twice. I'm going to tell you the second story of it, because the second story is the new one. So about a week ago, actually, yeah, it's almost 2 weeks now. It'll be next Monday. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. It was a Monday afternoon. I'm working from my office, and I hear this loud bam, bam. And it's not uncommon to hear loud bams where I live, unfortunately, because I do not live in the burbs. I live in the city, like within 5 minutes of West Palm Beach. So I'm like in a very urban city environment with these little streets, less Florida. All of a sudden I hear this bam, and I don't think about it. Didn't think about it, not one lick. Keep working. Then I'm working on, I actually got a deck that we're building out back on my thing. I actually paying somebody to do the deck because I would never do deck work. I'd be terrible doing a deck. But all of a sudden I see this police officer with his gun out walking across my deck doing this. I'm like looking out my window at my office going, what the heck is going on in my yard? I open the door. He goes, go back inside. So I go back inside, and he tells me they're looking for a guy. And why are they looking for a guy? Well, 10 minutes later, I find out why. The school zone stopped this white van. The white van said, I'm not stopping. I'm going to try to get out of here. When he got to the end of the street and he couldn't figure out where to go, he pulls into my driveway. I got this huge driveway. Bill will tell you I have a huge driveway. Okay? He comes in my huge driveway. He doesn't turn around. He decides he's going to go down the canal, and he runs through my fence. Just plows the fence and starts heading up the canal. The problem is he went the wrong way up the canal, and there's no out. He got stuck at the telephone pole with the down guys and had to try to do a K-turn into. He got stuck in the canal, and he abandoned his vehicle because they came down and found him, and he ran, and they thought he was in my backyard. And that's why I had 3 cops walk around like this in my backyard for about 10, 15 minutes. It was crazy town here. And that's the second time that's happened. So, anyhow, I thought I'd tell you that story. I don't know why I went and did that. Anyhow, any questions come in and that? You guys want to talk about drums? Or you want me to telling you stories about homeowner associations? Oh, HOA. Yes. HOA is a homeowners association. That's what a homeowners association is. And in South Florida, they usually call them gated communities because usually you have to go through a gate to get in there. And you pay a fee to be part of the homeowners association. So I do not live in a homeowners association. I live on a regular old street. Unfortunately, there's no out, which is good because I don't get that traffic and that noise in my studio of a truck or something coming down the street, unless they're dropping off something at my house or my neighbors across the street's house, which isn't that often. But the problem is sometimes things happen. And anyhow, that's my white van story for today. Pretty crazy stuff. So, you guys want to talk about any drum stuff? Christina Flowers on the side of those white vans. That's not what's inside. Yeah, the funny thing was this guy was living in that van. They found a mattress in the van and stuff. He was living there. It wasn't even his van. He got it from somebody else. I still haven't dealt with the fence problem yet. That's one of these things I'm gonna have to do at some point. You guys have to have some questions. I've been going for a good hour and 15 minutes, and you guys haven't asked very many questions of me today. So I'm going to give you one last shot at giving me questions, unless you like listening to my craziness, because I am definitely in craziness land right now. But I started with the HOA because of Rich. I know Rich is dealing with that problem. So now Rich is doing his recordings in the studio. And if you live closer, you can come down here and do drum covers. I'd let you do that. I've done that for some people. I've let a couple guys do drum covers at my studio. Friends who don't have studio space. And actually, when I was out of work, I actually had a guy that paid me to do that. I realized I could make the money doing that. But again, I need a good camera, so that's what I'm looking for. Anything, guys? You guys got a question? Want to send me on a rant somewhere? Indeed, a huge driveway, no doubt about it. Earl, not sure if you saw my comment. I was wondering if you heard about Walt Pearzader. Yes, I did. I'm really feel bad about that too. Walt Pearzader is the saxophone player in Chicago. I heard about it this week, and thank you, Rich, for the other question. Walt's got Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is one of those things that I know about. My mother-in-law has Alzheimer's, and she's actually lives on the west coast of Florida. And we've been visiting her. We used to visit her a lot. Now with COVID, we haven't been there very much. One of these weekends, I'm going to have to take a day off and go over to the West Coast and visit my mother-in-law. But the worst part about it is they don't know you. And it's a really sad thing. So I really feel for the guys in the band. I think Walt's known about it for a while. It's just showing our age. Those of us from the 60s and 70s, and I grew up in 1960, so I'm 60 years old. But I mean, life is short, and enjoy it while you can. That's the other point of my whole rant about E-drums, is that when I retire, I'll play E-drums. But until then, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of what I have and have as much fun as I possibly can every day. Let's see. So have you tried the Peisty Dark Energy cymbals? I have, Rich. I have one. I have a 20-inch Dark Energy Mark I prototype. It was one of the prototypes before they released the line. I bought it at Forks Drum Closet in 2006. It is what I call my Steve Gadd cymbal. It sounds like Steve Gadd's dry, dark ride cymbals. And I love it. I just never bought the other ones, which are a little bit more highly priced than the 2002s. The 2002s are a little bit underpriced of the Dark Energies. It's the Peisty alloy. But I know a lot of guys love the Dark Energy series, and I think they're really nice cymbals. I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Peisty. You can buy Peisty PST7s. They are great cymbals. They're like the 505s of today. When I started, the 505 was the poor man's 2002. The PST7 is the poor man's 2002 today. Even has a red label like a 2002. Yeah, I mean, I think the Dark Energies are excellent cymbals, and something you definitely want to check out. S. Goldberg said, who are some of your favorite drummers? Well, that's a loaded question. I'll give that one a shot. I think I also saw something from Tate about the cymbals. I don't know if it was in... no, it wasn't Tate. It was Drum Covers by Bill. I will get to the Color Sounds 5 question about that. So let's talk about favorite drummers. My favorite drummers are mostly studio guys, but I listen to a lot of drummers. Now, I would say if you guys were to ask who my favorite drummers are, most of you would probably say Jeff Porcaro, Hal Blaine, Steve Gadd, because I do a lot of covers with those guys being the main drummers, and Danny Serafin. Danny Serafin was my first favorite drummer, I would say, only because I didn't really know that Hal Blaine was my favorite drummer, but I've been listening to Hal Blaine for years and didn't realize how much Hal Blaine I listened to. I only thought Hal Blaine played drums on the Partridge Family, to be honest, and the Carpenters, because I saw him on the Carpenters records. But when I was about 16 years old and I started to really read album covers and started to realize who played on certain things, I realized that I loved Danny Serafin's playing, and that was my first drummer. Him and Bobby Clumby. And then I saw Peter Erskine playing with Maynard Ferguson, and realized what a great drummer he was. As a young kid, he was a young kid at the time playing with Peter Erskine, and with Maynard Ferguson. I really love Peter Erskine's playing. Still to this day, I love Peter Erskine's playing. But then Steve Gadd, Asia was the album I knew him from, because I bought Steely Dan's Asia. We were playing Peg in a band I was in. And then I heard Age. I was like, my gosh, this is incredible. Who's the drummer? It was all different drummers on the album with Steve Gadd. So then when I got to college, everything was Steve Gadd. Steve Gadd drum kits. My first scratch kit, they tried to sell me the sizes of Steve Gadd's kit. So I would say those are the kind of guys I listen to, but I love studio guys. So I have an acquired taste for studio guys. Anybody who's played in the studio, I probably consider them an influence. Rick Marotta, Russ Kunkel, Carlos Vega, guys in Nashville that are, there's guys that are now real, like Paul Lime is an influence. John Hammond, after he played on the album I was on, became a big influence on me. So I would say that those are really the guys are my favorite drummers, or studio guys, more than the band drummers. Not that I don't like Bonzo or Neil Peart, but I think for me, I like guys who play songs. And that's what studio guys do for the most part. They're song players. So for me, it's really about the song. Let me go back a little bit here. Drum covers by Bill said, Earl, have you ever used the Paiste color sound symbols? I recently saw a girl using them. I had my first Paiste cymbal was a Paiste 505 16-inch crash. And then my brother decided to play drums about 14, 15 years of age. And I was married at the time. Married, had 2 kids. And he wanted to buy a drum kit. He lived at home. My grandmother lived with us when I was a kid. My grandmother decided to buy him a drum kit. So we went to New York City and we bought his first drum kit. I had a budget to work with. I bought a Yamaha Stage, not the Stage series that you see, Stage Custom. It was Stage with the kind of squared 5,000 lugs, they call them. And I bought him a black set of Yamaha 12, 13, 16, 8x12, 9x13, 16x16. And I bought him a 20-inch 404 ride Paiste. And then I bought him a 505 set of 505 hats, which are right here. This is my 505 hats, the green labels. These are my brother's. And I lost them for a while, got them back. During that period of time, he wanted to buy another cymbal. And I said, why don't you buy a black Color Sounds 5? And he did. He had money to burn. He was a kid. What can I tell you? He bought me some of my first Sabians too. He had money to burn when he was young. He was working. He was doing plumbing and all kinds of stuff. And it's just funny how life was back then. He was 17, 18 at the time. And he bought a Color Sounds 5. And I somehow got it. When he stopped playing drums, he didn't want to play drums anymore. I got the whole kit. I had the bass drum pedal for years. I had his steel snare drum 5x14 for years. I had these hi-hats and that 404 ride and that Color Sounds 5 for years. And then I sold off the kit to my friend Scott. And the 404 and the 505s went, and I kept the Color Sounds 5. So I had this black Color Sounds 5 cymbal, which was really cool in 1985. And then the Color Sounds 5 with the Simmons drums kind of went down the toilet. And they weren't cool anymore. I had to get rid of that. So I sold my Color Sounds 5 and my 16-inch 505 crash, which I wish I didn't sell, and a set of New Beat hi-hats to a friend's son. It was a bass player of this band I was playing, this wedding band I was doing work with, called Boulevard East. And he bought those cymbals, and then I never saw him again. And there went my first set of New Beats and my 505 crash and that Color Sounds 5. So I did play them. And I really like the look. I was actually looking at a set of Sound Edge Color Sound 900s the other day, saying, can I really go with, I really like that blue color. I think that blue is so cool looking. But I just don't know if I could really pull it off anymore. The blue cymbals. That's the problem. They are cool. Yes, the 2002s are really great. I love the 2002s. I got them. Blake says I really like the Paiste Signature Dark Crisps. Yeah, I've played those. Those are really nice. My only problem with the Paiste Signatures is they dent easier than the 2002s. Not that the 2002s don't do it too. CCM Drummer says I use Sony Handycam 4K. So Matthew, does it allow you to actually go for a long period of time with that camera? That's been the question of the day. Tim Drumbag says, have you ever tried the 404s? I'm sure Blake hasn't. Blake probably was never exposed to the 404s. You and I have had 404s. They don't make 404s anymore. They're expensive to buy used. I mean, you almost rather buy a Color Sounds 900 or something. I mean, the Color Sounds 900 are cheap. They're not expensive cymbals. They're not cheap, but they're not expensive. And they got a sound edge option. And by the way, Chadwick Perry's got a set of red Color Sound cymbals. I don't know if they're sound edge, but he loves those cymbals. He told me that. He said, I love these cymbals. So maybe I should get a set of the Color Sounds sound edge just for the heck of it. That'd be an interesting 14-inch set of pair of cymbals. You're welcome. S. Goldberg. I'm glad I answered your question. Let's see what else we got. 505s. Rich, I have a AK set. Okay. Color Sounds 5 Crash, PST 7. You do have a Color Sounds. Big Ride. Depends on what sound I need. Zildjians sound better for live. Pisces better in the studio. That's a good point. I don't know about. I've done some gigs with the Pisces out. I like the Pisces out too, but they do have something in the studio. They just have a certain thing. All cymbals can be great if you like them. That's the other thing. Any other questions, guys? On the top hi-hat, Pisces Dark Crisp. Yep. Cool. Any other questions for me, guys? I think I've gone an hour and a half with you guys. I still see 16 people out there. If you guys have any questions, last shot. I'm getting tired of talking. I guess I'm going to go play some drums. It's time to play drums. I already did one cover this morning, by the way. So that's 6 for the weekend. So I got 6 things in the can. I released one. Thank you all for being on the show today and being with me and watching my crazy rants and talks about HOAs and everything else. Well, Michael Perry just joined. Hi, Michael. Nice to have you on today. I'll see you, Eric. Bounce. I am getting ready to bounce this show, too. That's where we're getting ready to go, unless somebody has one last chance for a question, and that's for you, Michael, because you showed up. Getting it done, Earl. Thank you, Blake. Enjoy your weekend, too, Rich. Thank you, everybody, for being on the show today. I can't say enough. There was something about Roy Haynes I saw came up. Any thoughts on Roy Haynes? Okay. First off, he's still alive today. Nothing happened, right? That's the first question to you, Tim. Second part of the question, watching him play at 95 is amazing. If I could be still playing acoustic drums at 95 and with people like he's playing, that is a great life. That's the goal of life now. I had I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't want to get too weird with all the youngsters on here, but let me just put it this way. Life's about living. Live life as best you can for as long as you can. Have as much fun as you can. Be kind to people. Be nice to people. Be compassionate to people. Enjoy people. Have fun with people. You know? And Roy Haynes playing drums is amazing. I think he's one of the greatest drummers ever. Some of the stuff he's done with Chick Corea, I mean, his playing is just amazing. And the fact he's still doing it at 95 was wonderful to see that. So I hope nothing's happened to Roy today that you're asking me that question. But my thoughts on Roy Haynes are, I mean, when you talk about the top jazz drummers, you're talking about Tony, Elvin, Roy Haynes, Max Roach. That's the bebop era guys. Kenny Clark. I mean, there's so many great guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can talk about those drummers too forever too. Great players. Yep, Roy Haynes did do a solo. I thought he's incredible. CCM Drummer says the cymbals on the Elisa's Command X mesh kits have a dynamic range, but not the acoustic cymbals. Not like an acoustic. Yeah, I agree with you. They don't. They definitely don't. Thank you, Ray, for being on today. I see Raymond on, and Michael Perry's been on today, and Chadwick, cheers, man. Have a great day. Everybody, thank you all for being on the show today. We are at 1 hour and 30 minutes in 45 seconds. So I'm going to say my goodbyes to everybody. Thank you all for being on the show. I see the comment comes up. Roy Haynes, inspirational. Yes, he is. Everybody, have fun. Enjoy your Sunday. Thank you for hanging with the hammer today. We will do this again next week, Saturday, 9 a.m., back to regular time. But it was great to have the Sunday crew. Maybe I'll have to flip it periodically just to get different crew guys. I really appreciate you all being here today. Thank you all for being on the live stream. I'll see you again next time. Bye.